This man's name is Jason Grand. He lives in a small town in the United States called Little Town. Jason's wife used to be the mayor of that town, but a few months ago in the middle of his tenure, Jason's wife passed away. The wife was later replaced by a deputy mayor named Conley. However, since Conley took office, the economy of Little Town has actually declined due to the construction of a toll road that closed the only access for tourists to enter the city. Even the news, the city will be in danger of being erased from the map if the toll road widening is carried out. Since his wife died, Jason had actually tried many times to get as far from the city as possible to start a new life. But wherever he goes, Jason still can't forget the wife he still loves so much. Jason finally decided to return to Little Town and live in the attic of the church. He hoped that by living near his Lord, Jason's life could change for more better. During the day, while cleaning things up in the attic, Jason came across a very detailed miniature replica of the city of Little Town.
These details are perfect. What the heck? What? It looks exactly like the diner. Wow. Wait.
When he saw a replica of himself there, Jason was confused and thought maybe he just saw the wrong thing. Jason then tried to spray the miniature church attic to clean the windows. But when the miniature was sprayed with water, at the same time it was raining outside. When Jason looked out the window, he was surprised that the rain had only fallen right where he had splashed the water. Then Jason realized one thing: whatever he did to the miniature city of Little Town, it would happen to the real Little Town. The next day at the restaurant, Jason heard that there were two men beside him who were talking about the strange rain that happened yesterday. They felt that Little Town was not livable anymore. There are many reasons why people move out of the city. Starting from Conley, the mayor who never takes care of his city, tourists who never come, and even yesterday a strange incident occurred when it only rained at the church. Hearing their conversation, Jason was very sad. In the past, his wife had painstakingly built Little Town so that it could progress and prosper. But now the city is slowly starting to crumble. When Jason was dumbfounded, the restaurant owner named Mrs. Parker was seen chatting with her son, Charlie. They both chatted that next week they would both change the paint color of the restaurant. That evening, Jason had an idea to paint a miniature of Mrs. Parker's restaurant, and in the morning, everyone was shocked because Mrs. Parker's restaurant had changed colors in just one night. Instead of being happy, Mrs. Parker was afraid. She was afraid that Conley would be angry if she didn't report it before painting the restaurant. Jason tried to make sure that the colors of Mrs. Parker's restaurant now looked much more beautiful and brought joy. If Conley saw it, Jason was sure that Conley would like it. Hearing Jason's words, Mrs. Parker was relieved. Jason came home happy because now he felt like a hero. On the way, an old woman fell on the road and the grandmother complained that the potholes in the road were never repaired by Conley. Even though they have often sent their complaint letters in the suggestion box, during his tenure as mayor, Conley never once opened the community's complaint box. From his grandmother's complaint, Jason finally knew how to restore the city's prosperity. That night, Jason read one by one the public complaint letters. He helped resolve all these complaints through the miniature town of Little Town. Ranging from uprooting trees blocking fences, cleaning up trash along the road, repairing potholes in the road, to feeding a dog with a small chicken bone that turned into a giant bone. The next day with a smile, Jason saw the happy faces of the people, because all the problems in the city were suddenly resolved overnight. Jason went to a mini market, and there, the mini market keeper was chatting with visitors about the city of Little Town, which was now starting to get organized. But the mini market keeper actually said that now the residents believe that Conley the mayor is the person behind all this. Hearing those words, Jason was very angry, and after returning from there, Jason planned to make the residents aware that it was not Conley who had helped the city of Little Town. Jason made miniature city signs as attractive as possible to invite visitors. A few days after the city signage was installed, many tourists began to arrive. Some even decided to buy a house and build a business there because they thought Little Town was a very beautiful city. Until one day, when all the residents were worshiping at the church, the priest told about a mysterious person who was sent by God to help the city of Little Town. The priest even called that person a God's grace. Jason was initially happy to hear the pastor's lecture, but when a congregation shouted Conley's name, Jason was annoyed and couldn't accept that a jerk like Conley was getting praise from everyone. In fact, all this time Conley had abandoned Little Town. That night, Jason plans to show people the true nature of Conley by dropping a rock on his luxury car miniature. At the same time, a meteor hits Conley's car. The next day, the residents were shocked to see a meteor rock hit Conley's luxury car, and it was badly damaged. Because his favorite car was badly damaged, Conley was angry and cursed at everyone. Even he accused Charlie, Mrs. Parker's son, of being the culprit, just because Charlie drew Conley's car. The residents were disappointed with Conley's character, then one by one they left. Conley, who realized that his good name had been damaged. He immediately apologized and said that this small incident would not stop him from building the city of Littletown to be more advanced. Hearing Conley's words, the citizens were deceived again and returned to support Conley. Since his plan failed, Jason tried a second plan. At night, when Conley was walking in front of the church, Jason put a miniature spider in the city, saw a giant spider in front of him. Conley was very scared. But before the spider could eat Conley, Jason immediately picked him up again. The next morning, Conley told the priest what happened last night. The priest then tried to calm Conley by saying that it might just be a dream. Incidentally, Conley again saw Charlie, who was drawing a spider on the wall, and again, Conley accused if last night it must have been Charlie who sent the giant spider to eat him. Mrs. Parker did not accept her son always being accused of something her son did not do. Mrs. Parker scolded Conley and told him to leave. Jason, who was dissatisfied with Conley's suffering, modified the miniature Littletown city sign, then shorted the lights on the board to turn off electricity throughout the city. As a result of that, all the residents panicked and they demanded Conley, who claimed to be a God's grace, to immediately repair the electricity. After constant pressure, Conley finally admitted that he was not actually a God's grace. So far, he has lied to the public just to get elected as mayor again in the next election. Hearing this confession, the residents didn't care, and if Conley was not God's grace, as mayor, it was Conley's job to solve this problem. When he wanted to run away from his responsibilities, outside, he saw Charlie, and again for no apparent reason, Conley immediately accused Charlie of being the culprit. Everyone was getting angrier that Conley was accusing a child of being the culprit. When he was cornered, Jason felt sorry for him, and he finally confessed in front of the residents that he was actually the one who had made strange miracles in the city of Littletown all this time. He is also the one who scares Conley with a spider and drops a meteor rock on his car. Jason then proved to everyone there how to do all that. In the church attic, Jason took off his gold wedding ring and placed it on the side of the miniature while apologizing to his wife for failing to build the city and letting her down. Jason then made a bonfire in the midst of a crowd of residents. Seeing the miracle, Conley and his assistant immediately broke in. After knowing the secret of the miniature, Conley had a plan to turn the city of Littletown into Las Vegas. The city of Littletown will later be very brightly filled with very profitable gambling centers. Conley has his assistant retrieve the miniature, but Jason refuses the plan, leading to a fight. Conley's assistant accidentally nudges a miniature town until it falls and breaks. At the same time, the city of Littletown experienced an earthquake, and that accident almost the entire building was destroyed. In the morning, Jason, Mrs. Parker, Charlie and the chaplain tour the city's deteriorating conditions. Charlie asks if Jason can repair the damage to the city using his miniature again. Jason says he can't, because the miniature city has now been damaged. Jason explained it wasn't the magic of the miniature that was really needed. But what the community needs is to unite and work together to build the city. When they arrived in the city center, there were many reporters who came to cover the big earthquake last night. In addition to covering the destruction of the city, they also reported about a giant gold ring. The world's largest gold ring is very expensive and can be used to repair all corners of the city.